Welcome. It is about 3:40 on January 12th, Tuesday afternoon. And this evening at 9 p.m. Pacific time is the exact new moon in Capricorn. And I wanted to share with you some of the energies of this new moon and to invite you into a deeper exploration for yourself of living with these cycles. So today is the balsamic phase of the moon. It's the dark moon. I had posted yesterday about all of the chaotic energy that we're feeling in the collective, we're seeing in the news, and that this time in the moon cycle is really a time to rest, to release everything that had come in the cycle before this last month, and really a day for releasing and resting and restoring. And so if your energy has felt quieter, if you felt more withdrawn, if you felt more tired today, that is really what this energy is inviting us into. I notice I've really had a day, it's been much quieter on my end. I've had clients, I've had conversations, but I noticed even the weather, it's really dark and dreary out. I've got my special lights on for this, but there's been a hush to this day. And I noticed that I've been really yearning for deeper resonance for myself in paying attention to how do I feel, what do I need, what is my natural rhythm and energy, and how can I support myself in that. Now that's a really broad topic, right? But I think that for me, part of it is paying attention to the astrology, paying attention to what sign of the zodiac is the sun in, and what are those energies being brought to us consciously? What part of the zodiac is highlighted for us? And right now, that's the sun in Capricorn. It's been here since the winter solstice on December 21st. And with the new moon, it's that the moon has caught up, and at 9 p.m. tonight will be in exactly the same place as the sun. This begins the lunar cycle. And so both our conscious awareness, represented by the sun, and our emotional experience throughout the month are based in Capricorn. So what does that mean? Capricorn is the cardinal earth sign. It's the beginning sign of winter, a time when Northern Hemisphere, we may feel more like cocooning, coming inside, staying warm and cozy, resting, hibernating, kind of regrouping our energy. But as an earth sign, in the beginning earth sign, it's also about being embodied, being in touch with the practical side of life and with doing. What are we building towards in our life? And this Capricorn energy corresponds to some of the cultural norms that are part of our culture, that of setting New Year's resolutions or goals, or putting our attention on our practical life. How do I want to build up for the year? What is it that I'm hoping to create this year? And what steps am I going to take? And so, I mean, I know I've talked with many of you, listening, paying attention online, lots of desire to be more aware of, conscious sun awareness, of the foundations of our life. So what are we eating? How are we exercising? How are we taking care of our homes? Are we paying attention to our finances? How are we structuring our work or our businesses this year? How are we paying attention to our relationships? What changes or what greater attention do we want to bring to these parts of our lives? Very Capricorn in nature. Capricorn is also about responsibility and authority, and what are those structures in our lives and in the collective? So systems of government and schools and the hierarchies and the structures to make things happen, to give form and order to our lives. Very, very much about form with Capricorn. and very much about being mature and responsible. So those themes are up. So in the chart of the new moon, which I posted in the group a little while ago, you can take a look in the comment or in the feed for the group. You'll see that the sun and the moon are together with the planet Pluto during this new moon. And Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008. And this is an energy that I've been talking about a lot over the last few years because it's been really potent and really in play in the breaking down. The death part of the death rebirth cycle is very much associated with Pluto, who was the god of the underworld. And we're still in that. Again, that's not a news flash. We are seeing, a lot of breakdown and upset in our systems and our structures. Okay. I want to talk more broadly, energetically, and what you can feel for yourself. I notice for myself, I've been aware of all those sort of New Year's questions, but not quite in the same way I've been aware of that in years past. And I think that's because we've been undergoing such change and transformation this last year with being at home, with the restrictions of COVID, with, the forms in our outer world are not the same. Okay, and we've all had to pull back and assess and adjust to that. And last year, most of the year, the planets Saturn and Jupiter were also in Capricorn. So we had those three big planets playing all year together, expanding and focusing the intensity of this Pluto energy in Capricorn. Well, now Jupiter and Saturn at the winter solstice had their meetup in Aquarius. They had their meetup in the sky. I know many of us were, awed by that beauty of that bright star when the two planets were together. But that began a new cycle in the sign of Aquarius, a whole different energy. And this is part of our new moon chart, is the fact that Jupiter and Saturn and the planet Mercury are all together in the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius follows Capricorn. Capricorn sets the stage, lays the foundation of what we are building, and gives us that practical, let's put things in place. Aquarius energy as an air sign is about our minds and the interconnectivity of all of us, humanity. And it's an energy of innovation and creative problem solving and, what is good for humanity? How are we dreaming into our future? What do we see as possible to build on? What's next? How can we improve upon this? And this is where I'm finding hope these days, actually, is tapping into the energies of Jupiter, that expansiveness of the Aquarian energy. Okay, there's hope and possibility for new futures, for structures and ways that we're going to work together that actually consider the people, consider the group. Aquarius is a sign that's very much about the group and the collective, whether that's your group of friends, your community, as a country, and as a world, and all of humanity. So Jupiter's expanding that possibility and hope, and what can we do? Saturn is in Aquarius, and Saturn, remember, has that pulling in energy, that focusing and concentration, can also be boundary. Okay, so we're still feeling the boundaries of Saturn in Aquarius. It had dipped into Aquarius for some time last year, where we're feeling, there are restrictions around how freely we can move about. We still have that. Mercury, the planet of communication and our thought process, is in Aquarius. And this we can be tapping into. I see this as really an ally for us. Mercury, no matter where it is in your chart, the universe is bringing Mercury in Aquarius. This is inviting that thinking about the future, inviting that thinking of how can we work together? How can we look out for each other? How can we see the equality and inclusion of everyone and work to improve things for us all? Now, it'll be relatively short time. Mercury will be in Aquarius through January 30th, where it will turn retrograde. So then it'll back up through Aquarius and help us reflect on some of the creative ideas and future dreams that we've had And I believe Mercury will be in Aquarius until the third week of February. I'll have to check that. But we have an extended stay in Aquarius because we have a Mercury retrograde coming up starting at the end of the month. But in this new moon chart, I think the main, we also have this main aspect from these planets in Aquarius. That's Jupiter, Saturn, the main planets there. Mercury will move fast, so we won't consider that. But Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn are in a confrontational aspect, the square, to Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And if you're looking at the chart, those are represented by red lines connecting the planets in Aquarius to the planets in Taurus. So that confrontation, Mars and Uranus. Mars is that outward drive. It's aggressive, assertive. Mars was the god of war. Meeting up with Uranus, the planet of freedom, the planet of awakening, but the planet of disruption and sudden change and the unexpected. So we have Mars and Uranus meeting up exactly, they'll be at the exact same degree on January 20th, the day of the inauguration in the US. This is concerning a lot of people because we already have that angry, rageful, warlike energy directed at our political structures. The insurrection and attacks on the Capitol last week, threats of state capitals being under siege and more happening on the day of the inauguration are all of concern in the news. And this astrology of Mars and Uranus together is that unpredictable warlike energy. But personally, I think we can each harness Mars and Uranus and Taurus for our own awakening, for an active, intentional opening or awakening to our values, to our relationships, to our bodies and our earth and our environment, all Taurus themes. So this might feel out there, it might feel a stretch, but I invite you to consider, like, how can you wake up to more of your own value? How can you wake up to being aware of more of what you value, what's important to you? And these are conversations that I've been having the last few weeks with my coaching clients and with people who've come for astrology readings. Many people took me up on the gift certificate sale at the end of the year. And many of my astrology clients who've had readings with me have been wanting to have a year ahead reading and look like, how can I make use of this astrology for 2021? What's coming down the pike and how can I personally apply it in my own life? So I share that with you because there's so much more that we could do if we work together one-on-one. And I invite you to get in touch if you're interested in exploring that, either through a year ahead reading or some ongoing coaching using your chart, using the astrology. But in these conversations, people are really wanting to get current with what matters to them, what they're, exploring. Wow, 2020, what a year. And now we're moving into 2021. Not much has shifted or changed. We're still on lockdown. We're still afraid of the virus. We're still in this very uncertain political environment. What can I do? Right? And so what we can do is turn to our own center, come home to ourselves, to what's important to us, reflect on what are my main values and what qualities do I most want to have in my life and embody in my life. Come back to your own center, to your stellar life. Okay, for me, that's like living at the center of our own life and what's most important to us. Now, that Mars and Uranus waking up to values in Taurus is square, or like at a four-way stop, with those planets in Aquarius that are concerned about the collective and about new solutions. So Mars, our bodies, our environment, like this, how are these two going to work together? We need to find the way of working together, but they're both calling each other into that expansive, more hopeful, more solution-oriented energy that I think is based on our awakening to what's really important to us. What does it mean to be the United States of America? What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be involved in the systems that hold us together? Because as much as we are all unique individuals with what's important to us, what are my rights? Preserving our rights is very much a concern as we see, we're being limited in travel, we're being limited in work, we're lots of limitations. So what are our rights is something to be very concerned about. And what are the rights for our fellow Americans, for people of color, for trans people, for queer people, for disabled people? How are we caring for everyone is very much in this conversation. And we need to figure out ways to do that. But not just about rights. I think it's really time, and this is where the Capricorn energy can really help us this next month, to explore what are our responsibilities within the collective. Because Capricorn energy is about what's doing the responsible, right thing, being in integrity and doing the right thing, showing up with integrity, with our maturity, and being responsible for ourselves and responsible to others and to our communities and our collective. So this is something I've been thinking a lot about and have been in interesting conversations with people around. Yesterday, I was on a group of mostly coaches, but leaders, and Rick Tamlin was guiding us in a conversation about who are we becoming in all of this. And I think this is a great question, always, to be intentional on who are you becoming? Who are you at your core? And who are you becoming? How are you growing and stretching yourself? And this is a question that is really central to my work, like to have your life be centered in who you are, in your values and what's important to you, and growing and expanding and giving and serving. How is that all put together? Now, I bring to my work with clients coaching skills and a history of coaching for 21 years now, and background with astrology and using the language and the map of your birth chart to see the different parts of you, parts of self, the energies within you and your unique strengths and talents, and how we can harness that for you to be in touch with who you are authentically and who you're becoming. Where are those invitations from the universe for you to stretch and grow and contribute your unique light, your unique gifts to the collective? This is a potent new moon, and I invite you to consider some of this Capricorn energy of what are the practical ways I can show up to be in my integrity, to be responsible for my life and to my life, to my community, my country. What can I do to show up in integrity, in that strength that is building a foundation? Now, our foundations have been rocked, they're falling apart in many ways, but how can we bring ourselves, even in our quiet, isolated, at-home ways, how can we be making those steps towards creating or becoming the people we want to be, the communities we want to be? What are some steps that we can take to reach out and contribute? I think that's a lot about what Capricorn asks us to do. How are we showing up and contributing? So I'm asking these questions of myself, and I'm feeling an internal calling to be more within during this winter time, to really, be meditating and doing yoga and considering a lot of how am I contributing in my life? How is my work making a difference? How am I wanting to grow and stretch? And I have to say, it's an uncomfortable position because the answers are not right in front of me. I know I'm going to continue working with people one-on-one, whether that's with astrology readings, with coaching engagements over 6 weeks for a deep dive or 6 months for an ongoing coaching. I'm going to continue with my astro coaching groups for the short future anyway. And I have a new group starting next Tuesday where we'll be focused on the Aquarian archetype, the sign of Aquarius as the sun moves into Aquarius. And that group is a 4-week exploration. We meet Tuesday evenings for half an hour, and then each person gets a one-on-one session with me for 30 minutes to really look at your chart and see where the Aquarius energy falls and how you can make the most of it during this time. So those are parts that I know. I'm questioning what's the value of the Facebook group and how do I want to interact with you all here? I've been questioning and not finding answers about my mailing list and do I want to keep doing a weekly sort of week ahead astrological forecast? Is that serving people? Is it something that I feel my heart is in? And I've been pretty quiet with that. I haven't put much out. I think I'll include this video in a newsletter, but these questions are up for me too. And I'm noticing that I'm wanting to be more responsive and listening more deeply to what's happening currently and how I can show up powerfully and responsively to help people understand that. But I'm kind of in the unknown with you. So I would love to hear from you. What you find helpful in the way I share here in the group or on my newsletter, what you find yourself curious about, perhaps what you'd like to see or hear more of. And if I can support you this month with a reading, looking at your own chart in the year ahead, or in the group setting, or some one-on-one coaching, get in touch. We can talk and see if it's a good fit, see if it's good timing for you. And I'd be happy to support you. I think the more we can reach out and support each other with our gifts, with our passions, the better. So happy new moon. Until 9 p.m. the next 5 hours, time to really relax and let it go. And setting intentions to work with the new moon can happen in the first 48 hours after the new moon. So sit with it and see what comes up for you that feels authentic and empowered for how do you want to show up for your life? How do you want to be building something in your life? That can be metaphorically, it can be physically. But how do you want to work with this energy of Capricorn that is so with Pluto, this purging and detoxifying energy, this releasing what doesn't work and making space for what can work is a lot what this energy is about. Okay, I feel like I've been going on for a bit here. So I'm going to pull it to a close. Thank you for listening. And I look forward to any kind of interactions we have in this next month and over the next year. I'm really grateful that you're here, part of the group. Oh, and Facebook and settings. Again, I've been noticing I haven't seen group posts very much. Go into your part of the group and you can adjust notifications, or if you see posts as they come up, or if you only see highlights, or just make your settings work for you. And I hope this is useful. Thanks so much. Have a great week.